But anywho, hello everyone, and welcome once again to Bat Minutes Beyond Chunks of the Joker, podcast that is so debonair, so dapper, so decrepit. No, we're young, vibrant, vital people making this show. I am one of the hosts who is also young, vibrant, and
you
I like to
wish.
be dapper on occasion. Niall McGowan.
I am your other host, John Parker, and I have perfectly sized ears. Thank you very much.
Again, every time you bring up something like that, it's like, oh, well, jump into it, but no, save it
Wait,
for later on.
It's a tease. That's what it's called now. I'm teasing people.
Yeah, but we have with us again this week some guests, returning guests, but guests who have not been with us for a hot minute or two. It is all the way from way back in Bat Minutes and Robin. It is Jonathan and Tabitha Carlisle.
Hi,
Hey.
we're back, and I'm beyond excited to be here.
How come nobody said that yet? What the hell?
I was just going to say, but I was thinking like probably, every other guest you've had have already made that joke, but I'm going to do it anyways.
You're a trailblazer, Tabitha.
They're all going to do it now. Once we tell the world,
Although I was actually thinking too, it's like, when was the last time you folks were on? And I think it was in Batman and Robin when Mr. Freeze burst in to the big party. That's like, wow, these films do like to repeat some plot points, don't they?
Yeah, that's true.
You're supposed to pretend you picked this deliberately.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no one else but the Carlisles could talk about.
We like just busting in on this podcast, so.
Although the people do hear John coughing, it's because of all the pink smoke.
That's it.
That occurred when Tabitha and Jonathan burst in there.
And if I'm not saying much, it's because of the audio. It just hurts my ears so much.
All that feedback.
Oh yeah.
But just looking at that dude, it's like, oh, Bruce, come on, you haven't a clue how to work that microphone, do you, man? You could never host it unless we find out in between times. Bruce did a podcast called If I Were Batman. It was just him detailing all the stuff. If I was Batman, this is how I probably would have done it.
That actually, I think that's an amazing idea that DC should do, but would it be in bad taste? Because of OJ.
It's been long enough now from OJ and all did I do it and stuff.
Has it been a long enough time between him publishing that book and... Well, he didn't publish the book. That's... Yeah.
I think once they've kind of done like that, people, if you thought that was tasteless, then the whole Cuba Gooding Jr. show would have been tasteless, because that was just like, we're just cashing in, baby. But anywho, we are here today to talk specifically about Chunk 4 of Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. It opens with some claps for a codger, and it ends a minute later with a mysterious Batwoman. Although I guess you don't know. It's,
Yeah, you've
don't know who it
ruined
is
it.
yet.
Everyone's watching this in 5-minute chunks along with us.
But up front, though, I should ask you folks, what is your history, not just with this film in particular, but with Batman Beyond? Because Batman Beyond it's almost kind of like, it's got that kind of red-haired stepchild kind of syndrome, where it's like, yeah, they did that other show, and it wasn't like, people liked it, I guess. It kind of comes under that thing. Although I thought all of Batman Beyond was great, but it's not got the same level of acclaim as BTAS that came before it.
When did Batman Beyond first come out? Like what year?
It's like 99 or 2000.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I was definitely, it was prime of life for the Batman, the animated series. But yeah, those years we were just married and starting to have kids, and so I was aware of Batman Beyond, but I never really had time for it. So I don't really know.
Well, you guys were married even back then. I didn't realize how long the love story had been going for.
We just had our 25th anniversary in December.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. How dare you rub that in our faces? Two single people hosting the show.
Oh, we're just old.
I didn't realize, was that like a backwards brag then? Well, I couldn't watch these cartoons because we were
too busy getting married.
No, we're just busy with little ones. But I think the same for me. I'm not sure that I've ever seen Batman Beyond. I was aware of it, but I don't think that I'd ever seen an episode until this one.
Oh, thank God people are on my side then, because I'm the same. I'm coming to it fresh. So yes, I have backup.
So when you sat down to watch this, though, were you just like, who's this other guy? What's happening? Why is Bruce Wayne so old and stuff? Or did you, at least through cultural osmosis, kind of get the gist of it?
I think through, cultural osmosis, I got the gist of it. I knew there were, younger ones being Batman now. I was confused why the Joker was still there, though. And I'm like, oh, okay, so how's this going to work? And I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like, okay, is this a clone? Is it, frozen animation?
Somehow
like
he has returned.
He's returned. And like, what is going on? So I thought it was an interesting payoff in the end.
I think the Joker is one character you could get away with just saying somehow he's returned.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for the Emperor, but the Joker, you're like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Imagine like the censors for this are probably like, could we just cut out that entire sequence and put in somehow the Joker returns?
You wouldn't question it, would you? You'd go, okay, it's the Joker, I guess. He's just returned.
Again, right. Well, this stuff's very intense, for it's supposed to be a kid's cartoon over here. But again, that was their whole thing. Was like with Batman Beyond was like they were the BTAS people were told like go and make Batman Buffy basically like that's just whatever that is, go and make it, and they came out with a show. But then they're always like it has to be friendly for kids though. It has to be teen centric, so more lighthearted, okay? And then they'd do things like the Earth Mover, where it's like the corpse of this guy melded into a wall underground, and he's able to like control vines and stuff, and he's legitimately one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen. And they're like, yeah, that's for kids friendly, right? And you're like, no, you idiots! That's not what we wanted at all. No, but to jump into this junk here, we do get the return of Bruce Wayne into the public light as well. He's introduced on stage. Very happy to see too that he still seems to he's still got it, because like the women in the crowd and the men, they're all just like, oh, Bruce. Like they have the kind of vibe of like, it's Bruce Wayne.
It's the aura around him. He's got a special aura, hasn't he? Even in his old age with his eye bags.
Swaggering with that cane. He's like, hey, I gotta wear counts, baby.
When the spotlight first goes on him, he does just look like a grumpy old man, though.
He looks like he's about to die.
Grumpy old man. Yeah. His dark eyes, and he's just hunched, and he does, I guess they do a good job of just making him look old and grumpy.
Well, we figured out through doing this, he must be, we would think, maybe 80 something?
Yeah, he's gotta be. Because I think they do... The last thing you ever see of Batman Beyond was in a Justice League episode, and I think that jumped forward 15 years, and Bruce was still going.
What?
But he was like properly like completely bald, like could barely walk and stuff.
Okay.
But I think in that they mentioned he's like in his late 90s or something. So I was like, yeah, it would have to be. He must be like early to mid 80s at this point. I have noticed though, particularly in this sequence, like whenever they started out in BTAS, he never looked anything like Kevin Conroy. When they redesigned, he didn't look anything like Kevin Conroy. But old Bruce Wayne, kind of looks a lot like Kevin Conroy in a way. Like they kind of finally went like, yeah, we'll just make him look like the guy who does them, because they are simpatico. Like they're the same. Like they're gelled together forever now, really. But
I'm always torn on that with animated things, because on one hand, it was cool when they started doing it like more often with like CGI stuff. Like let's make it look like the actor, and it was like, oh, that's refreshing, that's interesting. But then it got done so much, I felt like it's kind of taking away from the art. You're not being as creative.
No, that's true. That's true. That's just like you're forever branding that character too as that person.
Yeah.
And so it'll be tougher to recast down the line, because it's like, well, that still looks like the guy that you drew it to look like,
Yeah, I think it just limits creativity sometimes. But it's nice to see it here, because it's it's Batman cartoon number 800.
At this point, this was quite like. They'd only done like Super Friends and stuff like that back in the 70s. And I was like, this wasn't all that many Batman cards. Like now, definitely. But back when they did this, it was like... but like, I really wish they'd kind of played up the comedy element here, though, of like... Because when Bruce comes out, he's quite dignified. He's just kind of like the Bruce... He's just like a nicer version of the Bruce Wayne we see at any other given time in the film or the show. But I wish they'd gone back to like him being crazy goofball, like, oh, I'm not Batman. Look, I dropped my popcorn all over the place. Like that Bruce Wayne. Where he like Terry's just like, all right, let's see you out there. And he's just like, okay, I just need to remember how to do this. And he just comes out, he's just like falling over his cane and stuff. And he's just like, hi, everyone, it's me, Bruce. You remember me? Knocking over the microphone and stuff. And he's like, oh no. Like really going into like doddering old man territory. And they're just like, everyone's like, oh, Bruce Wayne, he definitely still couldn't be Batman. I'll tell you that.
Well, do you think that it is that? Or do you think like, is the feedback attack that he gets here from the microphone supposed to just be like, oh, he's you know, he's been out of the game so long, he's not used to doing this anymore?
Oh, I interpreted the feedback attack as been a Joker thing. Like,
oh, I never made that connection because I thought, well, Joker's usually a bit more obvious, like in a minute.
Oh, wait, what did you two? Did you interpret that as being an old man moment for Bruce, or like as like that's a foretelling of things to come? Is that like is that squeak?
I think it starts off that way, but then obviously they're kind of overtaking the broadcast. So I think it's just convenient timing. You know, maybe even to let Bruce question himself just for a second, like, oh, maybe I am out of the game.
Oh, wait,
like,
maybe it is the
on.
Joker doing it, but to make him think that, to throw Bruce, like messing with his head, yeah, not just interrupting to be like a jerk.
Yeah.
Even though he is interrupting to be like a jerk.
Although I don't know why he like completely handholds that microphone. That's kind of weird.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's kind of a dual thing. I was thinking the same thing.
Again, I just really want them to be like, I think they should have come back out and he's just got like, they're all wearing this weird future fashion, which is like, it's a suit, but the tie looks like it looks like they're wearing like a turtleneck jumper and the tie is like stuck onto it or something.
Yeah. I wanted to ask if that was like, was it supposed to be future fashion, or is it just the art style that, you know, they just don't draw the collar?
I guess it could be, because remember when we did Mask of the Phantasm, the Joker's like, his suit, he never had a collar on his orange shirt. It just like, it just looked like the thing was pinned. It was like he was wearing a t-shirt and then it pinned the bow tie there. But
then like, you're right though, like loads of movies do that, don't they, where it's like, oh, we have to show that it's the future, but not make it crazy.
I mean, like the one that really stands out miles above for me is still the two ties of Back to the Future 2.
Love it.
Where it's just like, that's what people do that in the future, right? Two ties. Like, and the same, just like it's designed to have two ties on you at the same time. We're like, no, I guess people are running out of ideas into the fashion industry, but just like, it's like, you know, that sketch that Mitchell and Webb used to do about like the toothbrush companies going, we've got nothing left to sell people. Why don't we tell them they need to brush their tongues as well? And we'll put something on the back of the toothbrush.
And I fell for it. I do that. I tell you which one does it well, though, I think, is Aliens. Because what's the guy's name? The like company stooge guy, you know? He's got like a futuristic looking kind of collar.
Yeah.
But it's not too crazy. It's like, okay, I could maybe see that being a thing.
It's really, I should know that guy's name, but it's just like Paul Reiser. That's all I know. It's like, what? I know his name's in my head somewhere, but
you don't need to know his name. He's just a dick.
Yeah, he's just Paul Reiser. It's like, oh, it's mad about you, guy. Like when you guys are older, are you looking forward to any particular future fashions from? We all finally get the silver jumpsuits with the V on them and stuff.
Oh goodness, I hadn't thought about future fashions, but I do like how everything keeps getting more and more comfortable and acceptable wearing comfort, even if it's nice looking. It has some kind of stretch to it. That's really nice. I like that.
So I've recently gone into working in an office job for the first time. I've spent so many years as a freelancer and stuff. And beforehand, I was really like, oh my God, I'm going to have to like go and get a whole bunch of like office clothes and stuff.
Not
and
anymore.
Then landing in and finding like, no, people don't do that anymore. No. Like you land in, everyone's just in whatever they would wear any other given day of the week.
Yeah.
I think COVID helped with that in a way. People stopped caring.
But I have, almost on the advice of one of our other guests, Shin, She sort of like does kind of like a little lifestyle guruying in her YouTube channel. And she always talked about like she created a work uniform for herself and like all this kind of stuff. So I was like, I'm going to do the same thing. So I've gone for like, I'm not in a suit or anything, but I do have a black jacket, but I've got a very jazzy kind of pocket square popped up that both serves the function of being like, it's a bit eye-catching, but also I can clean my glasses with it. I was like, I've done it all too, baby.
Very nice.
I think I'm just looking forward to everyone stop complaining about not having pockets and realize that cargo shorts are cool.
Yeah, there you go.
I remember the argument that fractured the Movies by Minutes community about cargo shorts. It was never the same after that.
Yeah.
No. But I kind of wish they had just updated. Like, Bruce came and he's just like, okay, I'll get back in the game. And he just appeared in that hideous brown suit with the yellow shirt that he always had. But it was like a futuristic version of it. And he's just like, this is, everyone knows this is the Bruce Wayne look, is the brown suit, yellow shirt. And everyone was like, oh, it's him.
It is funny that I hadn't thought about it before, how the clothing just doesn't look futuristic. Everything looks the same, I guess. Looks current to today.
I like that, though, because
evening gowns, suits, nothing is... You look outside and you can tell it's the future, but everything else is normal to today.
It's almost like they're setting themselves up for like the complete opposite of what they had to do with BTAS, because like when they did that, it's like, yeah, it's set in ostensibly set in 1992, but it looks like it's in the 40s, and everyone's going around with the fedoras and trench coats and like old time rotary phones, and it's kind of like, yeah, but it also they still have futuristic stuff too, so it's like it's kind of timeless. And it's just like, yeah, that's just, it exists in this weird netherverse, the old school Batman animated series. And then to go into this, where we're like, we have to imagine the future. So what's the future got? And then they're like, right. I don't know. Like, apparently they still have old school cameras, because nowadays we would know that like that crowd, it'll be all mobile phones getting taken out and people filming it and stuff. And even now, like, this is still set in like 26 years from now, so even then it probably will be something completely different as well. But these guys are all the reporters and whatnot have all got the big clunky late 90s cameras out there going, and they just sort of added some crap on top to be like, yeah, it's future, right? We all still need flash bulbs and stuff like that.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. What the hell? That's one thing as a big nerdy wrestling fan that has upset me. That, now everyone's got like mobile phones or even just like, different types of cameras. In the old days when something cool would happen, you'd see all these flash bulbs just going, bah, 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 and it looks so cool. And now it's just really boring. Nobody's got cameras like that.
Yeah. That's what I remember, when in Batman Returns, when the Penguin's making his press conference, when he's sort of first revealed himself to the world and the flash bulbs keep going and he keeps flinching at them and stuff like that to make himself look more vulnerable than he actually is and stuff. But yeah, I have to say, like, there's actually a really nice undersung little moment in that, because when Bruce comes out and everyone's cheering him, the look on Terry's face, he seems really proud of him. He's really like, wow, this is so nice. And it's actually a really nice moment, because I think Terry and Bruce at this point have been through a lot together. Where it's like, yeah, the Bruce Wayne was the grumpy old git who nearly let me get killed outside his front gate one time because he's an asshole. And all I've ever known him as is like weird hermit guy who used to be Batman and just hates everything and just sits in the dark all day. But I know that Bruce Wayne used to be like a deal to people. And then for him to come out and Bruce to be like getting this rapturous applause and everyone to genuinely love him. And, and now he's like a father figure to Terry. And Terry just has a moment of like, wow, people did like this guy. Like it's weird to see Bruce in this scenario for him, but it's like, yeah, Bruce Wayne's a beloved public figure and stuff. And he's seeing them in a whole new light now.
It is it's quite cute. Yeah. It's made him realize like, oh, this, he is something special. He's not just Batman. Like, people love him anyway.
Love him anyway.
Yeah, like,
just for him, just for being him.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Just for his money.
Well, there's someone who doesn't bloody love him. Woof.
Yeah.
He pops up out of nowhere.
Oh, but before we get to that, though, have to point out though, well, one thing, we get the microphone screech.
Yeah.
And then it's one of those things it's as if the man has not received enough praise, but like we get the Joker's laugh tearing across.
Oh yeah, of course.
And it's just like, God, that Mark Hamill's he's really good at that laugh, because it really sells that moment of it. Like,
it does.
It's like I've heard him do a million variations on it, and it's like still works. It's like a ghostly Joker laugh appearing out of nowhere. You think I would have thought it would have had more of a reaction from Bruce though, because like in episodes of the old show, he would recognize the Joker by his laugh.
Yeah.
Like he would be. Like, there's one where he shows up at the mayor's son's birthday as Chucko the clown or whatever. And then as soon as he laughs, Bruce is like, that laugh. Like, I know who that is. So him hearing that, I would have thought they would have, like, animated a little thing in his face and been like, what? Like,
well, I
that
think
sounds familiar. Like, what the hell is that?
I think he's not considered that. He's like, no, it's not going to be him. That'd be stupid.
Because he's...
I would have still had been like, it's impossible to him, but it could have been like, no, like, no, I couldn't be, that kind of thing, like a little moment of pause for him or something. But
I feel like Bruce is completely taken unaware. Like he's never been at a gala before where bad guys have crashed it. You would think that he would expect that at every single gala. Or event that he ever goes to, and he would train all of his proteges.
Yeah.
So like anytime you're at a public event, just be prepared that some villain is going to pop up and blow things up, and you're going to have to make a choice to save people or not. Like every time, it's like Bruce, his age is showing here, and he's just like, "What is going on? Why are you grabbing my arms? There's so much smoke." I'm feeling high. I don't know what I'm doing. Where am I? What day is it?
The fact too, like this is our sixth season now, I guess. Really, like we did, 89 through Batman and Robin.
Well, it's a mini season.
The mini season, but like, so what is it now? There's none in 89, although the Joker breaking into the art museum, it's not a gala per se. And then you do get the party at Wayne Manor that goes off without a hitch. So Batman Returns, the Masquerade Ball gets infiltrated by the Penguin. Batman Forever is the Enigma Tech launch party. Two-Face shows up. Batman and Robin is the gala thing with the weird pink gorilla and all that stuff. Both Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze show up. Separate entities at that point. Mask of the Phantasm, thankfully, they managed. They did have a party that went off without a hitch in that. But yeah, Return of the Joker is just back to like, you guys just don't learn, do you? Like, you just
You'll never see me coming.
Yeah, I know the Joker went away, but you've had all the other criminals still. So I just wouldn't throw an event like this in Gotham. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
And I've got pause the second 23. I just wanted to throw out some nice cameos there, because you get in the back there's a guy with a Psycomb haircut, looks a lot like Robert Pattinson. I was like, oh, there's future Batman Robert Pattinson is popped in animated form. Yeah. There's a lady holding her ears it's the same character model as the lady who threw the glass of wine in Bruce's face in Mask of the Phantasm. I went and checked. It's the same. It's the same woman. They just colored her differently. Same outfit, same hair, same everything. And then, of course, we do get a cameo from one of our fellow Movies by Minutes podcasters and frequent guest of the show, Blake Riley, there
I
on the
can
far
see that
right.
as well.
Just looking very angry with a glass of water or something. It's like, oh, he's just like, I hope they mention me in this show at least. It's like,
oh, eagle eye. I thought the guy in the back left looked like is it Dante from Clerks?
Oh, yeah, it does look a bit like Dante. Well, there you go. Clerks Minute is one of Blake's shows. So, yeah, it's all blending together. There's also a guy, too. I can't remember what shot you see him, but he looks like Clark Kent. It's like a young Clark Kent. Got the same glasses and stuff, but he's in like a priest outfit, but like a short-sleeved, and he's got like a gray vest on top, or a waistcoat. I'm adapting for the American audience by calling
most
it
of our listeners are. We have to be careful with our words. Yeah.
But I was really like, is that supposed? Maybe it's supposed to be like, yeah, that's like Connor Kent or someone. Like it's a real. It's one of Superman's kids has shown up, but also he's a priest now, I guess, because he's black shirt with a little white square. But At the same
Maybe
time,
maybe that's just the bow tie of the future.
I guess so. Yeah. It's just priest wear is in, I guess.
I was thinking about the mixture of the times and just wondering, like, because this is set in the future, the original Batman the Animated Series, like you said, some of the stuff seems like it's from the 40s, so maybe they dated everything up, so everything that looks modern or even slightly old to us now was like the 1940s version of the Batman Beyond world.
Oh my God, of course, yeah. Holy crap.
Clever.
When they can make this timeless.
Everyone should have like flip polyphonic phones, and like all the frayed bell-bottom jeans that were big in the early 2000s, all that.
Hey, I was into those. I wore them.
Oh yeah, and just like the soaking. Like every time you went out, it was mildly wet. The bottom of your jeans destroyed.
Well, and this is England. It's basically always mildly wet.
Yeah. But yeah, as you said there, John, the party is infiltrated by Woof.
Right, I've got a problem here. Well, first off, where my woofers at? Come on, everybody. Whoop, whoop. But weird plan, right? Pop up and attack Bruce Wayne, okay. But make sure that the entry point is nowhere near him. It takes him about half an hour to run towards him while everyone's looking on.
Yeah. I mean, these Jokers, not the brightest bulbs.
No, and to be fair, he's the one who's like a hyena man. He's not the smartest, you know.
Or maybe he wants to freak out the crowd too by like running through them. So it's just like to make more. But that's actually a Joker. There's a lot of in this thing. I think it is just Joker making a statement. Like,
yeah,
it's so theatrical, and like I think he deliberately, like, the reason Dee Dee are there is to make sure he lands in that exact spot because he's going to come up and he wants Bruce to see him and stuff. It's, you know, it's all very designed.
And he probably thinks, well, if Woof dies, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and that's true. If Woof died, yeah, too bad. Woof, of course, we did mention in the previous episode, voiced by Frank Welker. Very, 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 very famous, but kind of still slightly undersung voice actor. We talked about not too long back, John, because remember we did our Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island episode. And Frank Welker's has been the voice of Fred since the late 60s.
Crazy.
And refuses to let anyone else play that part while he's still alive. Like, he will go out of his way to make sure that I think even in that episode we're talking about, like, when they said, like, oh no, your register's changed because you're getting older, we might have to recast. And he's like, no, you don't, and like clung on to it. It's like, no matter what version of Scooby-Doo you watch, it will be Frank Welker voicing Fred. But he's voiced like a billion things, including he was Stripe in Gremlins. He's like, we'll get into all his other stuff in future episodes because there's that much to it.
Yeah.
But I think when I at the time said, oh, Frank Welker is like the most profitable actor of all time because of all the stuff he's in, and I was kind of like, yeah, I have a vague memory of that being a thing. Yeah. Turns out I was wrong. And I've now since Frank Welker is the third most profitable actor of all time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Do you want to have a guess at who the first is? Because it's one of those ones you'd be like, oh, for God's sake. Yeah, I guess. Okay.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
It's not Tom Cruise is on this list, but I was aghast at some of the people ahead of Tom Cruise.
Okay.
But like, no, the number one most profitable actor, quote unquote.
Oh, okay. There's a twist here. It's not just okay. Go on.
It's Stan Lee.
Oh, come on!
From all the Marvel movies,
Doesn't count.
Yeah.
But I guess to kind of make up for that though, Stan Lee's like, well, not a real actor per se. Number two, Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay.
It's like, well.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam.
That makes sense.
Sam is a proper actor, and he is in all those movies as well, but also a bunch of other stuff.
But so he's really number one. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So that's fair enough. Number three, Frank Welker. 4 is John Ratzenberger. Of course, Cliff. From
wow!
Cheers.
For the Pixars.
Yeah, all the Pixars. You put them together.
Wow.
They've come up to. They've got the number here, and I can't even read it because I wouldn't even know. Like, is that billions or is that trillions?
Wow.
Like, what is that?
Well, he hit a jackpot with all those little cameo things in the Pixar movies. Wow.
Bob Bergen is number 5. He was the voice of Porky Pig.
Oh.
Because we've done a lot of stuff as well. Number 6, Chris Pratt. I'm like, wow, good for him, I guess. Number 7, Zoe Saldana, who is like, no one ever really talks about Zoe Saldana, but she's in a lot of very big franchises.
I would never have put her on the list, though, if I was guessing.
Yeah, but I guess they do like Avatar and Guardians of the Galaxy movies and Avengers Endgame. Stuff like, yep, Star Trek. And she's like, yep, she's in there. Scarlett Johansson's number 8. Robert Downey Jr., number 9. Andy Serkis, number 10. Alan, like Benedict Cumberbatch, then Alan Tudyk. I was like, oh, good for him. Warwick Davis, and it goes on and on. But then, like, number 20 is Tom Cruise.
Oh, wow.
Like, number 20. And then directly ahead of him, Bradley Cooper. I was like, Bradley Cooper is more profitable than Tom Cruise, really? Seriously. Like, wow.
That surprises me.
And then ahead of him, Idris Elba. I was like, oh, wow. Idris is, I guess. But then Idris Elba, what are his really big films? Like, it's not Hobbs and Shaw. Like,
I think only me and you liked that.
Yeah. So like, how's Idris Elba more profitable than Tom Cruise? That just seems insane to me.
Unless Tom Cruise, because he's mostly all in on doing, like Mission Impossible and things. Does he maybe take a smaller fee just because he loves doing? Because you can tell he loves doing them movies.
I think this is in terms of like the film's profits.
It's not just like the money that.
It's not what he's getting paid. It's like no, it's what the films have grossed.
Okay, that's even more surprising then.
So then Idris Elba's like, the Lion King remake? I know that did well, but what else was he in that was that big that he could be 2 steps ahead of Tom Cruise?
He was in Cats.
He was in Cats. Maybe that was it. Maybe yeah. Just off the side in this, you can see that the Broadway revival Cats is actually premiering just down the road from this gala, I believe.
Oh God! Oh, let's not go back to Cats again. Every time we watch it, the world ends.
But yeah, so Woof comes in and growls up a big game, and I do love Bruce's reaction of just like, no,
like screw you,
like you ain't scaring me, kid. Like, no, like I've dealt with worse than you. And just like, yeah, there's that the bit. Then we get to a cut to Ghoul and they call him Chucko.
Chucko, yeah.
Chucko, yeah.
Now this bit, because I've been critical of Ghoul, I think this is using him well. I like this. I like to see him actually doing something and not just annoying me with his rip-off scarecrow ways.
Yeah.
I don't, but you know what he's doing? When I see him doing that, I just imagine him going, as he just lightly lobs a little bomb ball or smoke bomb into the room. It's just like, he is just like,
He is very chill. He's like, I can't be bothered.
Right.
It does convey he's like a teenager.
Yeah.
Because it's a real like, okay.
He's almost written like a Gen X teenager, though. Like you'd get, like they make fun of that in The Simpsons, don't they? Like those kind of teens that are watching Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
That's the vibe he gives me. So it's a bit of a strange sort of choice. Is it maybe being a bit out of touch with the era that this is coming out in?
I just thought it was weird though that he throws in this gas, and it appears to just be knockout gas.
Yeah.
But his whole thing is that he's like riffing on the Scarecrow. So it's like, shouldn't it be fear gas?
Yeah, he hasn't figured out how to do that yet.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's just like, yeah, fear gas. But then we kind of got an idea that he might have been like a computer whiz hacker or something. Like he seemed to know what he was doing by Google searching, where this thing was in the last chunk. So it's like, if you could be like, yes, I formulated my own fear gas, and it's a combination fear gas, laughing gas, and you could do a creepy scene of like people have been terrified but laughing at the thing that's coming at them, and they'd be like, wow, this ghoul is really like, he's a formidable threat to Batman. But now, yeah, he just seems like a real kind of lobs things in, and it's just a stringy looking dweeb dressing up like the Scarecrow and stuff.
Like, here's my fart bomb.
Yeah. That would have been amazing.
That would work too for like a teenage Joker fanboy, just to be like, yes, as I couldn't get the laughing gas, but I've created a fart bomb. It's really cool, boss. Like the Joker would be getting on board with that too. Like, yes, it's a fantastic idea.
I like the idea that it doesn't smell of a fart; it makes you fart.
Oh, that's even better.
It's a fart
Beautiful.
bomb. Yeah.
I think it was and it incapacitates people because they're terrified of following through, so they're just like gripping the chairs, like, no, just wait for it to stop.
We're running into dangerous territory here, though, because it's getting too close to that annoying thing they had in the terrible Kick-Ass 2. Where she's got that stick that makes people soil themselves. It's like, oh, okay, that was funny for about half a second, and you're dragging it out for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, so we get those two security guards very easily. Again, the crime rate in Gotham has not gone down since Batman has disappeared.
Not at all.
So you'd think they really would be like, we get better security than just two guys in a booth. What are you doing? But
no, they're just as useless as ever. But they've got to be. All movies, you've got to have useless people like this. You know,
yeah.
Star Wars, you've got your stormtroopers, even though they're described as being very effective.
But yeah, loving this everything about Bruce on stage with Woof, because Woof's really getting into like. It's kind of, bullying tactics of like, oh, you're going to try to go this way? You're going to try to go that way? Oh, I got you trapped. Like, he's really trying to freak him out. And Bruce is just like, no, I'm not doing this with you.
I'm just going to smack you with a cane. That's it. Yeah. Bam, bam, bam.
I should note, though, because with Frank Walker doing that voice, the sound of Woof, I was like, that sounds like something Frank Walker's done before. I was trying to remember specifically what it was. And I was like, it's not Stripe. It's not any of the Mogwai, because they sound a bit like that, but not quite. I think he's repeating his performance as Toka or Razor, whichever one it was, from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze.
Oh yeah, I thought that sounded familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, the Bebop and Rocksteady stand-ins, and to this day, I couldn't tell you which one's Bebop, couldn't tell you which one's Rocksteady, and neither do I know which one is Toka and which one is Razor. But looking up a clip, no, the Snapping Turtle one sounds exactly like this. So it's Frank just been like, well, I'm in 5 million things. I don't have 5 million individual voices though, so you're gonna get a couple of doubles,
That's kind of the old way of cartoons. You would listen to it and you're like, oh, the sheriff of Nottingham in Disney's Robin Hood is the same sounding voice as the old dog in Fox and the Hound, and it's the same one on there. You just recognize all these voices. There's no disguising it.
Is he the same guy as in... Who does that voice? Is he the same guy as in Back to the Future 3 as the run for fun? Or like, it sounds exactly like him, but it might just be an actor doing an impersonation of that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, speaking of a weird coincidence, though, because I've been doing a rewatch of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but only one episode a week, and I'm up to the episode where like the Xander gets possessed by like a hyena.
Yes, I was hoping you were going to say that. Yeah.
And that's the one where like they him and his cronies, who are also hyena people, eat the principal.
Yes,
and it's the principal's I think he took his wallet guy from Back to the Future too.
My favorite guy from Back to the Future.
Yeah. But it's just like, he didn't really do that much this one. It's like, he must be the principal for the entire first season of Buffy before Principal Snyder shows up. It's like, nope, 5 episodes and he's dead.
And it never really comes up again that they consumed a man.
Yeah. I think if Xander wasn't part of that, he was elsewhere. So it's
but
if
Xander
had come up. Yeah, but if Xander had ate the principal, I'm pretty sure they would have mentioned that a couple of more times. I think it's so far in the rewatch, because the first few episodes are very rocky. That was the first one where I was like, no, this is as good as I remember. No, this is like the show's hit its stride.
I love it all, but I also know what you mean.
Yeah. But yeah, of course. So then Wolf, he tries to go in for an attack, and Bruce just hands him his ass back to him.
Yeah.
Just whacks him with the cane as if it was nothing to him.
Love it. Now, this being Bruce Wayne, do you think that's like a special? That's a fighting cane. Is it weighted?
Potentially. Yeah. I also think he's just that good. He's like, I could do that with a branch that fell off a tree next to me or something.
He is the master, even at his elderly age.
He's No, I'm choosing to believe he's just got the skills. He's still got it, baby. Yeah. I looked up some hyena facts.
Oh God.
It was that they were mildly interesting. Just because it's like, well, we got hyena boy here. But apparently...
The Adventures of Hyena Boy.
Yeah, there you go. The spit up. The wolf turns away from his life of crime and goes on to become Hyena Boy.
Yeah, let's get a wolf comic. Come on, why not?
But apparently hyenas are not scavengers, as people think they are. They're actually very good at hunting. They're very adept hunters. And it seems they just had a bad PR campaign the entire time. Because a lot of things people think about hyenas just aren't true. Like,
what?
There's a rumor about them all being hermaphrodites. Apparently that's...
Who the hell came up with this?
Apparently that's just a thing that people for years have just believed. They're like, yeah, hyenas are hermaphrodites, right? Like, no, apparently they have... I got a quote here saying like, that is completely false, but there's a very good reason why it was thought to be true. The female spotted hyena does in fact have a pseudo-penis and a pseudo-scrotum, both of which are convincingly similar to male anatomy.
Oh, okay.
And actually mimic her clitoris, which has evolved to mimic the male's anatomy, with the entire urogenital tract running through it. So there's something there. But also there was a thing where Sir Walter Raleigh, back in the day, was writing a book about like the history of the world and the history of all the animals. And he came out with this thing that like, hyenas were forbidden to be on Noah's Ark because they're an abomination.
What? Is it because they look a bit weird? Is that like...
He said they're an unnatural combination of dog and cat. And like they didn't need to be on the Ark because they would naturally regenerate by just dogs and cats. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
That's what he was really talking about. There could be hyenas everywhere.
But like that was seen as fact, but like for hundreds of years then too, because just some asshole wrote it. It was like, yeah, that's a guy just made up a thing.
This fits though because
that happens a lot.
Yeah, like being
people believe
someone
just because somebody wrote it in a book.
Being someone obsessed with history, I've been listening to a lot of history podcasts lately, and there was a great one the other day about medieval animals because they often would just make stuff up. And there's one called like the ant lion.
Oh yeah, weirdly enough, I had to proofread a paper about ant lions during the week.
And the picture that they've got for them, it's literally they figured out on the podcast by looking through stuff that it's ant sized, but it's got a lion's like torso and head on an ant. And I'm like, yeah, this exists. This absolutely exists. I've seen it. You know? They
go through because this whole paper was about them, and they go through like the baby antlion. You wouldn't recognize it compared to like the thing it is at the end. It's such a drastically different evolution problem. And I was really annoyed because the person who wrote this was talking about some computer algorithm that had antlion as part of but they had separated it into two words. I was like, it's okay if it's part of that an acronym, but they kept talking about antlions and it's like, no, it's all one word.
Yeah, that's what makes it. It's an antlion.
Yeah, so I had to go through deleting every gap he made except for when I was talking about that algorithm. It was really, really annoying.
Yeah, that would be time consuming.
Yeah, I couldn't even do a replace all. I had to go through it individually.
Ugh.
But yeah, and also apparently hyenas are what they call precochial, which means they come out of the womb ready to go.
Hey.
Like they come out, eyes are open, teeth are formed, muscles are ready.
Let's rock.
They literally are born and they're just like, all right, let's go. Like, I'm ready now.
Humans are the worst for this, aren't they? Because, you see like animal programs, a giraffe's being born. And it's up and about in like a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And then there's us, useless.
But so cute.
Yeah, well, yeah, but not as cute as a hyena.
Well, also apparently the hyena's laugh isn't like a sinister thing. Apparently it's brought about by anxiety.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just communication. Okay.
Yeah, so apparently whenever they're unsure or just like in a situation where they would be frightened, they laugh.
That's what I do.
Yeah, it's quite the... So a lot of this was like, maybe these were all papers funded by Big Hyena. But a lot of it was like a real PR thing of like, we have to change the image of the hyena. Like, people think it's a bad guy, but it's not. It's a good guy. The hyenas are nice.
It's secretly Woof's plan.
Well, yeah, this is like... Wolf just stole some cash when he's down here. Like, now I'm going to pay for this. And everyone will think I'm cool after this now. If not, I'll eat the principal.
Don't we all want to eat the principal?
But yeah, Bruce. Terry comes up and has a little chinwag with Bruce, and then Bruce just says, "Go to work."
Oh, I loved that line. I thought that was it was quite badass, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's quite telling that like the amount of quips Terry's had in the 3 chunks we've done beforehand, and we've all been like, like everything he comes out with was like, boy. And then Bruce Wayne just goes, "Go to work," and we're like, oh, there he is. It's Bruce. It's Batman.
That's all you got to say. Go to work, and you know, oh, it's on now. It's on.
Yeah, it's a fact too that like later on in this chunk, Terry is struggling with Woof. And Bruce kicked his ass in like 3 seconds. It's like, man, kid, you got a long way to go.
Hey, you say that, but right now, immediately after that, you know, Bruce isn't perfect because Dee Dee appears, as does Dee Dee, and they beat our boy up.
Yeah.
No need for that. Yeah. He's an old man. You don't have to beat him up.
Why are you two excited to hear the familiar voice of Dee Dee when she popped up?
We actually looked it up before we started recording, so I didn't recognize it. But now that I know that it's Melissa Joan Hart, I can definitely hear it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't realize at first. Like I knew she was in it, but I never would have thought that was her.
Yeah, I thought like this movie's it's a heyday for fans of 90s TV. Yeah, but was not brought up like Will Friedle, of course, the voice of Terry. Maybe you people will be more familiar because I know that he's the guy from Boy Meets World, and I have never seen Boy Meets World. I've somehow managed to dodge it my entire life, and I was hoping like maybe someone who was actually a fan of this thing could be like, "Oh my god, it's him! He's my favorite actor in the world," or something.
See, it wasn't that big a show here. It was on because I've seen some of it, but I feel like it didn't sort of hit the same as in America.
Our youngest daughter. She is a huge fan of Boy Meets World, and I watched it when it was back on TV originally, but she, I don't know, has binge watched it here as a young adult, when she was in her late teens, probably 4 or 5 times the entire seasons. And last year I went to because they have a Boy Meets podcast where they go through an episode at a time, and they were here in Michigan and in the Detroit area, and so she said, "Mom, will you come with me?" So we went to that, and what was his name? I just know him as Eric on the show. Will Friedle. Yeah, he so he was there. I saw him on stage along with a couple of the other actors, and it was just kind of a small theater, and they were just talking to us about the show, and it was fun.
Did he appear in a cloud of pink smoke and be like, "Hey, everybody, Eric's back in town"?
He did not, but he was silly and fun, and it was a fun thing.
I actually remember the time it was on, because the reason I never saw Boy Meets World is it was when my parents made me like go and like do my homework or play outside or whatever. Like I had because it was their TV time. This is back in the day when there was like one TV in the house, and then I had a run of cartoons when I got home, and then my dad would arrive back from work about 5:30, and it was just like dinner time, and then the news. And whatever, boring soaps my parents wanted to watch.
It's torture as a kid, isn't it? Like, oh God, why are these on? Put something good on.
I'd always see just like on the TV guy, like Boy Meets World at 6. And I'm like, what is this show? I've never seen it. And people at school talk about it. Like, what is it? What happens in it? Who's the boy? What's the world? What's going on?
Here we had, when that was out, when we were teenagers, it was called TGIF, and there were all of these. That's when Full House and Boy Meets World and a bunch of different family sitcoms were on TV. It was always Friday night. We're in Easter time, so it would always start at 8. So it was like late enough, and it would be kind of a whole family thing. Like we'd always have popcorn. We'd sit down. We'd watch shows for 2 hours. Usually like 4 half-hour shows, and this was one of them. Yeah,
nice.
We probably have stuff like that here, but we're averse to naming it. It's like, you can't make it a thing. Can't make it. Yeah, it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, they don't have it anymore, but back then they did.
Yeah, that was back when, because that was ABC, and So like at the mid 90s, NBC had must see TV on Thursday, which was Seinfeld and Friends and any sitcom that made it on NBC on Thursday night, you knew that they were making it, or at least trying to make it.
They were the big hitters, kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was an event like must see TV Thursday, and then Friday was TGIF for ABC.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned in Tabitha like Full House as well. That was another one. We never got Full House over here, but then when Netflix did Fuller House, they tried to the UK. Get this down your throat because we're making this other show now. Watch this old thing from the 90s. And everyone's like, well, what is this?
I can't get into it now.
Yeah, but then they did the same with, because there's Girl Meets World now. Is that Netflix? Did they do that too? That they're like,
no.
That was a Disney Channel show, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive it was on Disney.
This is a book, I'm guessing it's about his daughter, right?
Yeah. Yep, it's about his daughter.
And then the fact that they didn't call it like Boy Beyond is like just devastating to me now. Like as they're like, no, Girl Meets World, it makes sense. It's like, but the in-joke of calling it Boy Beyond is so tempting. Come on. Oh, and every time the girl goes to do something, and then her dad's just like, go to work, and just swaggers off stage.
The phrase "go to work" does that mean that Terry jumped the gun before? Because when Wolf was first running up, Terry takes a little leg swipe at him. Completely misses, but he's not in his work clothes. So I guess I'm not sure where they're at with their
maybe he's not supposed to be too active unless he sneaks off and hides his identity. So it's like, okay, you took your little kick, but no, we got to step it up a notch now. So go put your stuff on.
So you gotta be careful. But I guess he could just be like, but then it would be like, oh, Bruce Wayne's ward or employee or whoever this kid is he has hanging about with him now is also a very adept fighter. It's just like, drawing a lot of eyes.
Draws eyes, that's it. Even if no one suspects that they're anything to do with Batman, it would be all over the paper. Like a Bruce Wayne's ward, foils, plot.
Yeah. Also, too, because I think it's the first time Bruce is stepping up and he's just doing his own voice. He's not doing the higher register Bruce Wayne voice. So, like, older people won't be like, he sounds just like Batman. What the hell? After all this time, like, oh, I thought I could have got away with it now. But
say, no, okay, yes, I accept. In my old age, I do sound a bit like Batman.
And that lady who's drawn to look exactly like the lady in Mask of Phantasm with the wine in his face. She's also, that is that woman. She's just there to throw another glass of wine in Bruce Wayne's face. But then when she heard him, she's like, oh my God, he sounds just like Batman. But yeah. So I think this is all very designed by Dee Dee and the Joker.
That sounds like a great band, Dee Dee and the Jokers.
It's one of the side projects to Twisted Sister.
Yeah.
But because they popped out great lines as well. It's like, it's old Mr. Wayne, so dapper, so debonair, so decrepit. Because then they're bigging him up. And then they're just actually beating him up at the same time.
That's how you do it. That's how you really make it sting.
Yeah. And then they throw him down in front of the trapdoor, wherein the Joker's timed to come up. And I think that was all done. Like, he actually took them aside. It's like, all right, I want you to do this because I'm going to do a big reveal to this one guy. Which also makes me ask, like, did he tell them then that Bruce Wayne is... Do the Jokers... know that Bruce Wayne is Batman, or has he kept that?
I don't think he's told him. I don't think he has.
I don't know, because there's a bit where he's saying like, "Oh, you more than anyone would recognize me," and it cuts to the Dee Dees looking at each other, and one of them does a wink, like that's like a little signal of like, because. But I wonder if he's told all of them, or if he's just told Dee Dee.
Yeah, because you're right. That does complicate what I was thinking. Because my initial instinct was no. He likes to have that power that he knows this. No one else knows, and he won't tell anyone else because then it ruins his sort of thing. But you're right. They do kind of seem to be a little bit in the know, unless he's just said, "I have a secret about Bruce."
It's
or what if he only told one of the D's?
Oh,
and that's why she's winking at the other, and it's like, what did you just wink at me for? What's that?
And yes, Dee Dee, I'm telling you this in confidence. Don't tell Dee Dee.
And then like 2 days later, he's like, which one did I tell? Oh, God damn it.
he's like trying to play like the mind games of like, oh, so Bruce, what was the thing that you said? Oh, not you. Okay.
But also that just means though at the end, if DD are aware that Bruce is bad, like they just get away. So there's like, oh, this is these two random juvenile delinquents out there knowing that Bruce Wayne is bad.
That's why I think that's what made me think he can't have told him, because that's weird. That blows the whole thing.
Yeah, I kind of got the vibe from the way they were even talking to them, like they were doing a little kind of mocking thing, like, like we know who you are and stuff. But that wink really indicates to me that they're like, oh, we're clued in here. We're fully aware of what's happening.
I think we've ruined the movie. I can't watch it the same now.
That's it. Cut. Yeah. Dump it. This one's garbage. Let's get rid of it. Although it's not garbage though, because I have to say I love this. Like, Joker coming up in a very sick Batman 66 pink smoke.
Yeah,
the real throwback to the old Cesar Romero Joker there, with his weirdly like pink suit. It was like, oh, it's a purple suit. It's like, that's a pink suit. Like I know a pink suit when I see it, and that's a pink suit.
What I love though is he's got that kind of entrance that you might think, oh, okay, this is going to be like a silly movie or whatever, but no, like Joker, even when he's doing something a bit camp and over the top, it's menacing. Like, he's quite scary here.
Yep. I think he comes like the people there seem to be genuinely quite terrified of him. Although, would you be if like you hadn't seen him in 40 years and you'd be like, "Who's that?" Like, that's not the Joker. Like, he's not 85 and he's dressed without flair. Like,
and his hair's totally different.
His hair is totally different. Yeah, he doesn't look a. What do you folks think of this Joker design? Like, are you yay or nay?
I'm a fan of his tracksuit that he's wearing.
It's very snazzy.
It is very snazzy. And but his how they usually make his eyes kind of uneven, like he's just like a little hinged and one is bulging. It does make him look menacing and scary and psychotic.
Well, Jonathan, what do you make of this? Would you rather have him in the old coat and tails and stuff?
I guess it's futuristic, but it doesn't really. I don't know. I guess I don't know. Joker, I guess he is fashionable to a degree, but he has his own spin on it.
Yeah.
So it takes me a bit to warm up to this style. Like, this is, if I thought of the future Joker, is this what I would think of? And I don't know that it really is, but
yeah.
But
I've only made my peace with it in doing this show because I hated it for so long, and now I think I know what they're going for. In that, are you both familiar with the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari?
I'm not.
That sounds familiar, but
like old 1920s, horror film, German expressionist thing, like very, very influential, massive thing on Tim Burton. But yeah, there's a character in that who's like a sleepwalker who's been controlled by a guy called Dr. Caligari. And the sleepwalker's name is Caesar, and he's just been controlled by this guy when he's sleeping to go out and kill people. And Caesar is played by Conrad Veidt, who of course is the original basis of the Joker, from the man who laughs. And Caesar dresses exactly like this. Then you think about it, it's like, oh, well, what is Tim Drake at the end of the movie? He's basically sleepwalking, and he's been controlled by the Joker to do all this stuff. So it's like,
yeah,
that's what they're going. But they're doing that. That's like a little reference in there. Apparently, his hair is Hannibal Lecter. They're going for Anthony Hopkins, like the Silence of the Lambs era. They're just like, yeah, we want to make him more sinister and more simmering. And I guess there was like, yep, Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. And some people would say the red eyes as well, because that's a note that like this gets thrown by the wayside with Hannibal, is that he's supposed to have red eyes. It's a thing in the books where they mention that his eyes are maroon, but like have flicks of red in them.
Love it,
and it makes him just, Thomas Harris was really trying to make it seem like he is literally the devil incarnate and stuff. So his eye literally has red eyes. And some people said like, oh yeah, so it's the slick back hair and the red eyes too. But I don't know if they were going that far. I think they were like, red eyes are just evil. So
yeah,
that's. It was the weird thing with the Joker's eyes every time, because it's like he had the weird black eyeballs with the white pupil the previous time. And then prior to that, he had yellow eyes in the old BTAS era. So, like,
yellow makes him look a bit sickly, though.
When he shows up in front of Bruce, Bruce might be like, I don't know, I knew a guy kind of looked like this. Like, at one point, he had black eyeballs. I couldn't tell what was going on.
Yeah, no, this is totally different. Totally different. That's not him.
Maybe that's why he looks so confused and in shock at first. He's like, "Who is this guy?" He's like, "It's me, Bruce. Really, it's me. Remember?"
Yeah.
Some people really do like. They focus on eyes a lot, don't they? Like but I'm one of those people who maybe it's the ADHD in me. I couldn't tell you anyone I know's eye color. Niall, I've known you for how long? 17 years, something like that. I don't know what color your eyes are.
My eyes are maroon with flecks of red.
Okay. Well, even if my mum like went missing and I had to describe her to the police, I'm like, I don't know. She's like short, and I think maybe she's got brown eyes.
Like in Black Books when he's like trying to fill in a form, it's like mother's maiden name. I just called her Ma. I wouldn't know her name.
Basically, I do know her maiden name, but that's about it.
But yeah, fantastic moment of just Bruce seeing the Joker, and then when you're watching it, the second time after having seen the film, and you know what happened between them, and it has so much even more weight because it is just like, well, but that was like one of the most devastating things that ever happened to me, and he's back, he's freaking back. How the hell is this pain in the ass who I finally got rid of? He's back,
and not only is he back, but he seems to be sprightly, so I can't fight him.
Yeah. He seems like he's literally not aged a day. Like,
well, except for the hair again. Yeah, it's receding a little bit. Yeah,
I think he always had kind of a receded hairline, though. I think you can get away with that.
Maybe, yeah. But I love the hair. I know last week you didn't like it, Niall, but I like the hair quite a lot. I think it's. I think it goes with his new streamlined, sleek look.
I didn't like the hair when I was on Anthony Hopkins. Like, I was like, Hannibal Lecter, this really debonair, dapper guy. All he's doing is just slicking back his hair like that. It's like, but that's Thomas Harris described him that way. So I'm like, I know he's your character, but I don't think you got him right.
Yeah, but we've been ruined now by Mads Mikkelsen. So
yeah, of course, it's always going to be the high watermark is always whatever Mads did. Yeah, that was correct. Whatever it was. And yeah, there's a nice moment. There's like interviews with Will Friedle, where he's actually talking to Kevin Conroy, and he's just saying about like how amazing this scene to shoot in particular, because again they would do things like a radio play, so everyone was in the same room at the same time, and he was like, like a young kid at the time, sat between Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy. And he'd seen, obviously, BTAS. He was familiar. He was completely familiar with the Batman universe. So just to be sitting there trying to do your job, and on one side you got the, oh yes, Bruce, you more than anyone should recognize me, and like Kevin Conroy really going deep into Bruce Wayne and getting very, doing all these, just so ingrained in the character, and just they had to sit there and then be like, So, what do you want me to do, boss? Like, between Luke Skywalker and Batman, it's just like pretty intimidating for the ask of a teenager, Like,
it's crazy.
But and yeah, apparently too, when he first joined on, Kevin Conroy took great pains to go and teach him how to turn his script pages correctly.
Oh,
because they did it like a radio play. If anyone made a sound in the room, you could ruin other people's takes.
Yeah.
So they had to learn, and Kevin Conroy would go into a whole thing of like, you have to like palm down on the paper, slide it off upwards, and then down. That way it's completely silent. But like, obviously Will Friedle didn't know that, so he had to come in and like, no, I'll show you what to do.
I never considered that. Holy crap.
Yeah. Apparently the early days of BTAS were rife with amazing takes, ruined by like... the guy playing Two-Face been like in the corner or whatever. Like, God damn it, man.
Now, it is nice to hear, though, that they, in some form at least, spent time together. Because, too often, especially these days, where a lot of voice actors have now been replaced by just getting some celebrity, getting Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
And I get the vibe they don't even see each other.
Oh,
No.
I remember finding that really disappointing after Shrek came out. Finding out that, like, they weren't in the room recording that together. That was like, Eddie Murphy did that over the phone. And then Cameron Diaz did it in another state, and it was just really like, and they just stitched it together. You're like,
well, I'll tell you what though, I'll give Shrek credit. They somehow pulled that off because a lot of things you can tell.
Yeah. It's but to find out it's basically like a Frankenstein hybrid performance of camaraderie. It's like, oh, they got such good chemistry. It's like, no, they don't. Nope. They weren't talking to each other.
Maybe never even met.
Yeah. It was like Eddie Murphy bumping into Mike Myers, but like, do I know you?
I get the vibe though. Kevin Conroy was a lot more old school. Of like, no. We're doing this. We're all together, and I'll hang out with you maybe in some capacity to help teach you. And
yeah. Oh no, they like him and Will seemed genuinely very, very close. And he was like, when he died, Will Friedle came out and they did because he does a podcast called I Hear Voices where he just interviews him and Christine Carlson Romano from Even Stevens and Kim Possible, because they were in Kim Possible together. Will Friedle was like I never saw Kim Possible either, but I was aware. I know that they did it together.
Okay, we're gonna do Kim Cast next.
We could do to see if it's any good. I just know the call me, beat me if you want to reach me. I was just like, yeah, that's the theme tune. Right?
That's dated.
But like when Kevin Conroy came out, Will Friedle did a podcast episode all about him, and it was very emotional because he was his buddy for like so long. He's like forever. He always says is like, yeah, every time like I'm at a convention, people always come like, oh yeah, you played Batman. Yeah, I'm over here, get this signed. The line for Kevin was too long, so yeah, I'm over here now. Just having to. Yeah, the other guy, but he was just like honored to be his other guy, basically.
You know what? Yeah, I think that's something you've got to just come to terms with quite early on because you're not going to get a bigger line than Kevin. So screw it. Just there's not much you can do about that.
Yeah. But also, so just to get back to the chunk, at 2 minutes and 2 seconds, I have to say that close up of Bruce. Like that's the screenshot for the episode right there.
Yeah.
It's like Joker leaning into him, and Bruce is just the sheer look of being aghast.
Well, because you don't normally see him like that ever.
No. You never see Bruce Wayne this shaken, like never. Particularly the later days of the show, like early days Batman when he was a bit more green. You would have gone kind of like, oh my god, kind of looks out.
Yeah, but this looks like he's genuinely gonna have like a panic attack. Yeah.
This looks like this is literally the worst thing he's ever seen. It's just happened right in front of him. I guess in many ways it is,
Yeah.
But and then we get the wink, and then Terry comes into the rough house.
Yeah.
And we got the Batman versus the Joker, which is they never really put that in films that much these days. It's like a concept that's not been mined all that much.
How far away did Terry have to go to get to work? Because he really looks like he's sailing in from somewhere.
That's a good point. Hang on. Yeah. Where was he keeping the suit?
I guess he decided we know he can keep it in his backpack, but he didn't have his backpack with him.
No.
So he must have to run to the car, maybe.
Well, no, I mean, logic would say maybe he's got the backpack downstairs or something, but he's clearly not because as you just said, his entrance.
Yeah.
Maybe he jumped out of a window up above or something and soared down, circled around. I don't know.
Maybe he could have been there a lot quicker. He's like, no, I need to make a much cooler entrance. Give me another minute.
Right.
So I'm not running across the room like that Woof did. Jeez, he looked like an idiot.
Plus, part of the whole Batman shtick is performance and show and things like that. So maybe that's what he's like. No, okay, people can hold on. I've got to go up to a building across the way.
That's what I even used to do that in the Arkham games when I was get the drop on a group of. It was like, no, I have to come in really cool,
make it look awesome into that flying kick that you do.
Yeah, the flying kick, or there's a thing you could get to if you press B, you had like a special glove that would punch the ground and create a shockwave and stuff. And I was like, no, you have to come in and make an entrance for them. You can't just be like, hey, I'm also here now.
Love it.
You get but so sadly there's no it's the friggin' bat in this movie. Although there was in the last one. So
I think they should just put that in every Batman movie from now on because it's become such a meme. Even people who haven't really, they don't know those games. They know the meme now because of that picture of like Joe Rogan.
Yeah, that's right. But then we do get the Joker's critique of Terry's outfit here. Like, man, this The ears are too long and I missed the cape, but not bad. Not bad at all.
Here you go. This is what I said a couple of weeks ago. I agree with what the Joker says.
See, I love the long ears, but I also do miss the cape. It's like
You're a long ear fan, aren't you? You seem to like that a lot. You like things in Batman to be big. You like big fins on the car and everything. Yeah,
maybe. What does that say about me as a person?
You're basically a drag queen.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah. What do you folks think? Are you a fan of? I guess if you weren't all that familiar with his outfit too, like when he showed up, were you just like, ugh? Or like, what did you think of it?
I think it's kind of cool. I was always back when I collected comics, I was always interested in the Elseworlds on the DC side of things, and so to me, this, I didn't really have time to watch it back when this was out, but I was kind of intrigued because it's kind of like a Elseworlds. It's a different costume, different time. It's still related, but I don't know. I think it's interesting. It doesn't really make sense, but like the whole, like his entire face is covered.
Yeah,
somehow,
we've talked about this. It's how does he get that on?
Yeah, so like it's contoured to his lips and everything. It's like how? Yeah. Where does it stop? Does it go inside his mouth too? Like where?
I think we just have to go
hooked onto his
tech,
gums.
This could be like it used to be until our Bats did it in the Batman, where you actually saw him with the eye makeup. And he was like, yeah, Batman, you always have to put on that eye makeup underneath the cowl. We never really get to grips with that. But I guess what this could be like, future Batman has to like white, black makeup around his mouth or something to blend. He's there with like a blending brush. It's like, oh yeah, almost there. Yeah, now got it. I'm good to go.
It looks like Bruce still has that eye makeup underneath and like around his eyes for his, like such dark circles.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't think much about it just because it is what it is, I guess, with Terry as Batman, because he's from the future. But I did notice like the melding to the face. Maybe they have like some Mission Impossible technology, when they can make other people's faces and it just blends so much. It just looks like your face. Maybe it has some kind of layer of something that he puts on each time really quick, perfectly, very fast.
That would be like, weird. That'd be a weird choice though. If it had like, at what point was Bruce like, I'm changing out the open mouth thing. I'm going in for a full face, whatever, and it's gonna. And now I just keep thinking, I was like, is it makeup, or is it like it's a future tech that's just like, it wraps itself around your face perfectly. But then where does it stop? Is it going in those mouth? Like what is this? Like,
it's crazy. But again, future tech. Just have to accept it. Go, okay, maybe it's like nanobots or something.
Yeah. Some crap like that. Yeah.
Maybe he's actually some kind of mutant. What do they call them in the DC world? Do they have a different? Do they have something like mutants they don't call mutants?
Oh yeah, so you have to use it in Smallville all the time because it could. They dodge the X-Men comparison.
Yeah, what did they call him?
But yeah, maybe he's some sort of mutant or something, and he's just playing it up and not letting anybody know.
Ego.
But his skin is actually changing. His body's changing.
Metahuman.
Metahuman. Yeah.
Although that's a question about like metahuman, and then with that, when we see Ghoul, and then thinking back to Bonk, who was all like albino level white.
Yeah,
it's like did they as Ghoul dyed his skin? Because I mean, if Woof has spliced himself to be like a hyena person, then maybe Ghoul has like, no, this is it's like a full body tattoo. It's like, this isn't makeup. This is all. Because fair enough, Dee Dee's is like, it's makeup on their faces.
Yeah. And
then the rest of them is just like normal skin tone. But Ghoul's is like, either that's you really need to get out in the sun more, kid, or like it's he's actually gone and dyed his skin to be like,
okay, I like that idea. Yeah, I thought it was just because he's the nerd, so he doesn't see the sun, and also maybe being around these chemicals has done something to him. But I like that idea. Like maybe he would, because he's all in on this character, this look that he's come up with.
Yeah. That'd be a pain in the ass because they say if he was doing it makeup, it'd be all in his hands, and then he'd just be leaving grey smudges everywhere.
Which we know from when I blew myself when I was Tobias Funke at your party.
And then you got the same with Bonk. This be Yeah, was like, did he bleach his skin like as a kind of Joker's rite of passage? It's like, yeah, you throw yourself into the chemicals. That's part of the whole thing.
Yeah, I could see it a bit like what do you call them? The War Boys in Mad Max. You know?
Yeah, totally.
They spray the mouths and they've got all that the makeup on and stuff. So could be part of that. Like we're creating an identity.
Yeah. Was in the Suicide Squad. You see Jared Leto's Joker making Harley jump into the chemicals and stuff. Like, so yeah, because she was like bleached skin as well too. So.
That's one of the only bits I liked about that, because it seems like something horribly manipulative the Joker might do.
Yeah, I think there was a kind of. I guess it's been that long since watching that, but I think he had a kind of vibe. And once you went in, he was just like, "Well, that's the end of her."
Yeah.
Like he was gonna just waft on out of there. But then, oh no, she's still alive.
Oh, great, she lived.
Yeah. But there you go. Speaking of Ghoul and Chucko, they're down getting the new dish. That fart gas is really going to town in there. The whole room's covered in it, I guess.
The guards are rolling around, just farting away. They can't stop.
And Ghoul's like, "Oh, best birthday present ever. Thank you, Chucko." And yeah, they're all set to go. And then we get the Joker going to make his exit through the Jolly Jack car? Whatever. I was like, is this like an ice cream van or something? Like, what is this thing? Like, it's a clown's face.
Yeah.
With like an ice cream bar jammed into it. Like,
okay. Is that what I was going to ask, if it was supposed to be like a chocolate bar wrapper, but that makes sense. An ice cream bar.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't make sense.
That's what I was kind of wondering. Right. But it makes sense that it's some kind of candy sweet bar of something that he's eating. Yeah. And so I was kind of curious.
But it is it's strange to me that the clown face part of it, he's eating this with the wrapper still on. That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
It's
just so good.
That's how good it is. He can't even unwrap it. He can't wait.
Yeah.
I was like, is that the design of the wrapper too? All the brown splodges, or is it just that it's old?
I think it's old. It's peeled. Yeah.
I really hope that if I'm ever in a situation like this in my life, which I hope I'm not, but if I am, that I would have enough sense to move away from the balcony or while stuff is going on, like all over here, to like sneak away over to this other area or something, and not just like, I'm going to stand right here. They just flew over my head. I'm going to die.
Just imagine though, like a year or two, Tabitha, you just invited to a gala at Wayne Enterprises, and just you stand there like all decked out in a lovely dress, and it's been like standing by the window like, oh no, too late. Something crashes in.
It's happening.
My goodness, I'd be so full of anxiety. I'm just like, we're gonna die here.
You've tempted fate now. Next time you're at some kind of a gala or a party like this, something's gonna happen now.
Oh, good thing I never go to those.
That's why you don't go.
It's true.
But this thing, this is it maybe like a tour bus thing? Like, why has it got so many seats? This thing the Joker jumps into, like, it's multiple seats. It's not like an ice cream van. I don't think.
I thought
guess
it
why
was,
would you have an ice cream van? Well, why would it be floating throughout the air? Like, be kids jumping out windows trying to get to the ice cream van, zooming past on the 50th floor.
You've got to prove yourself if you want to get a bar.
Well, there's no, especially when you're up in the air, there's no way to get to the refrigerator. So you have to have all the seats to get the kids in there, and then you take them to the ice cream.
Oh, that's creepy.
That is creepy.
That is creepy.
We're discovering why the Jolly Jack company got shut down.
I'm not sure which one is worse, the actual Joker or the ice cream man.
Yes, hop in. I'll take you to get a sweet treat. Oh, no.
Moving on.
Well, like Tab said, I mean, like all these people just standing at the edge of the, like, maybe it's just very trusting Gotham. I don't know.
That's it. Maybe in the intervening years there has been little crime, so there's been no need to be suspicious of ice cream men.
Yeah,
I think this was the first big gala that they've had in like decades. So like, we think it's finally safe.
Now
Bruce Wayne has agreed to put this on. If Bruce Wayne says it's okay, then it must be okay, you know. And then after he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, everybody." Really jumped the gun on that. I'm like, how come you sound like so much like Batman? You didn't used to sound like that before, Bruce. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah, this is. He forgets how to do it. He's just doing the Chris Walken impression after a while. Yes, this is how I've always sounded.
After Woof decides to stop trying to eat Terry's face, and he joins the rest of them, I like what happens because basically on the way out, Joker detonates a load of bombs. Got to leave with a bang, after all. I'm surprised he didn't. Yeah. But it does the classic superhero dilemma of, right, what does Batman do? Does he stop the villains from escaping, or does he rescue people caught in the blasts? Oh my God! Yeah. You know which one Batman's going to choose. He's Batman.
We've been there. Bruce's Love, or the Dark Knight's junior partner from Batman Forever. Not only have it's in it there, but this exact scenario of the Joker in particular showing up at a big swanky party full of rich people, somebody falling off, and then Batman having to jump after them to grab them. The Dark Knight. It happens in the Dark Knight. It's almost as if some noted hack was sitting watching this back in 2000 going, if I was ever to use that for a Batman movie, I bet I'll get away with that.
Yeah, no one's seen
apparently that's my Chris Nolan impression now. I didn't realize that it just came out there. But,
it was pretty good. Yeah.
Well, I was meant to make a meme earlier this week when he won all those Oscars. That's the stick figure eating the cereal. I've been like, he'll never get no noted hack's ever going to win an Oscar, and then just putting Oppenheimer and just the guy spitting out of the cereal.
You've still got time.
No, I think it was going to do it like Wednesday. And I was like, nah, the moment's passed.
Oh, well, I'll give it a like out of sympathy.
It's gone the way of the Cerveza Cristal.
No, but this is such a trope, but I mean that in a positive way. I don't mind it when it's a superhero kind of thing and they throw this in there. Because, you always get it. You get this kind of thing with Superman. They all do it. And every time I love it.
No. It's weird, too, when, like, in the car later, when Terry's is like, oh, I know I messed up. I was the clown, get away. But you think he would know. They'd be like, well, I think me and Bruce, we're both on the same. It's almost as if he's fishing for a compliment.
He probably is. Because he doesn't want to feel like a failure. I want to make sure...
Yeah, I want to hear you say that I did a good job rather than just me knowing that I did a good job, But I do love, though, swoops down, picks up the people, and, like, just that shot of Bruce looking up. Because he's kind of got his airs about him again now. He's kind of got, he's had a moment to think. And he's kind of got a look of, like, nah, that's like, I'm not buying this. Like, something's up. Like... He doesn't look like he's all aghast anymore. He's more like, what's happening? Because it can't be the Joker, because he's dead.
I think he's had to quickly switch back into old Batman mode. Of like, right, hang on, no, let's figure this out. Because if I'm just aghast, that's not going to help anyone.
Yeah. And then we cut to the car, and I like that Bruce Wayne's swanky. Again, he's not even trying to hide it now. That's just the old Batmobile turned upside down. Like from BTAS, that's the same car. He just flipped it. He's like, oh yeah, but that's how you stay rich. Is that you cut corners? Like, I want a new car. Just take the front off that other one.
Well, rich people are notoriously cheap.
Yeah. He's just like, oh, the Batmobile got blown up, but I can still use that. Like,
it's still good.
Alfred, build me a new car. Yes, sir.
Oh.
He's pretty grumpy in the car.
Well, I mean, he's kind of default mode, really, to be fair.
He's quite miserable in this in general, but no extra grumpy, I think, in the car. I think it's just because he didn't see it coming, and that annoys him.
Yeah.
I think, too, because it's awakened a lot of old stuff as well. Like, he'd spent many decades repressing a lot of stuff about the Joker, and now it's like, oh, God, now I'm going to have to, like, engage and maybe tell people what happened and deal with the thing that I've been trying not to deal with for so many years.
So men will raise a young ward to be a new superhero crime fighter rather than go to therapy.
Exactly, yeah. But I think the whole... Because I remember seeing someone... criticizing this film by saying, like, they didn't ever need to bring the Joker back because the JOKERZ as a gang had shown the impact he left on Gotham anyway, so it was just fan service. But things like that. Yeah. But, like, Bruce having to deal with, like, it's like, well, the film's about trauma. That's what it is. Like, the Joker inside Tim Drake is about repressed trauma and stuff that comes out eventually again and can turn people from being good people you might be like a kid who was raised by a violent alcoholic, and then you become a violent alcoholic. It's because of the trauma of your, and that's what it is.
It's kind of like about like it's PTSD as a character.
Exactly. So that's why I'll defend the movie to the death. It's like, no, it's about something. It's not just fan service. Like the reason that it's the Joker is Tim Drake is because that's what they're going for and stuff. So yeah,
what? He's Tim Drake.
We've ruined it.
I'm assuming you guys watched the rest of the movie, right?
Yeah.
You're like, no, we were going to watch it after we finished recording.
No, that's great, because then leading into this next little scene with Tim Drake, I didn't know how much we could talk about that. So I was just kind of curious as he's watching the TV and he's getting a little shaky, like, does he realize that he's the Joker at this point? But then he mutes it, which makes me think, okay, he kind of knows, but maybe he doesn't. Like, what is kind of going on there?
No, I don't think he knows. I think his reaction is all, again, that's a thing I've been trying to repress for 40 years is the Joker and all the stuff that he did to me. Like, I think that's him, like, the old bubbling, like, literally been thrown directly in his face of, like, that guy you've been trying not to think about. Here he is.
Yeah. So in that moment, he's afraid of the Joker. Like, oh no, the Joker's back.
Yeah.
And so he's afraid of the Joker, not realizing in any way that he is.
Well, it could be like a more sort of middle ground of, like, maybe he's not, like, consciously aware, but maybe something deep within him is reacting to, like a repressed thing that he's not fully aware of. Because it would explain that because it's an extreme reaction. Like, he looks terrified, disturbed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, though, before that, we should also point out the little cute reference Terry makes before we cut to Tim Drake, because Terry in there, I'm beginning to doubt now that that's like because his tie is weird, press-on tie is so far down his chest. I think it is like a weird future thing where it's like, yeah, it's either the shirt is like that or like that people glue their tie on way down, like between their nipples now for whatever reason.
It's the style at the time now.
Yeah, you can't see the onion tied to his belt. It's around his back. But no, he does like so it's looking pretty spry for a guy who's got to be like, what, in his 80s? What do you think? Clone, robot, suspended animation, judo floating around in a block of ice. Which could, when I first saw it, I thought that was a reference to what happened with Mr. Freeze, because Terry did encounter Mr. Freeze in an episode of the show. Great episode. I'd highly recommend people. Meltdown was called. And as all the Mr. Freeze stuff was in BTAS, very emotional episode. But yeah, we found out that his frozen head was floating underwater and stuff for years, and it's like, he can't die because he's frozen basically. But no, I think it's then thinking about it, I think he's actually making a Captain America reference, because that's Captain America's whole thing. It's like, was brought to the future or to the modern day by being frozen and frozen in a block of ice and stuff.
Love it.
That was my first thought too, but I thought, well, maybe there's someone in DC universe that happened to as well. I'm not sure.
Although that's the thing now, like, that's part of, like, we know that as Captain America's story now. Jonathan, when you were back collecting comics, was there a point where that was the established thing of Captain America, where he's like, I am no longer in the 1940s. I am now in the, I've been frozen in a block of ice or whatever.
I don't remember when that became the thing. I didn't really collect, like, in the 90s, I didn't really collect Avengers comics, but I was aware of that. So I don't know if that was, in the 80s. Seemed like there was a lot of major comic things that happened just before I got into comics. So it could have been then. I know when Marvel came out with their Ultimates line in the early 2000s or whatever, that was pretty heavy on the Ultimates version of the Avengers and stuff like that. So it had already been established at that point. But
it makes you think, though, if it is a direct reference to Captain America, are they trying to suggest that, like, Marvel exists in this universe? Like, Marvel Comics is like, yeah, Terry's read Marvel Comics.
Yeah, they're not real. They're comics in this universe.
Yeah.
That'd be a
I
nice
like
little
this.
dig.
I like the Spider-Man guy. He's really funny.
Yeah.
And his mask covers almost his whole face.
Yeah. We've noticed quite a few similarities between this and Spider-Man, to be honest.
Yeah. And then when they did a new version of him, his whole color design was like black and red, and he was a younger kid and stuff. And it was like, oh, very.
Hey, stealing from each other.
The meme of Peter Parker going like, I'm seeing these things, and it looks kind of familiar. He's got the floppy. Well, Terry's still one of the most dated things about Terry is he's got floppy '90s boy band hair. But he does have Spider-Man 3 Tobey Maguire hair as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, before Tobey Maguire did.
I'll defend Spider-Man 3. I know it's not good, but I like it.
No. I think Spider-Man 3 was just, people just misread it at the time. It's actually not all that bad.
It's not. I've seen a lot worse since, let me tell you.
There's a lot of bad things in it, but it's not an overall bad film. I think it was made with good intentions and stuff. But, But yeah, we don't get his name in this, but we do get to cut to who we will later find out is Tim Drake. And his almost off-screen, never-to-be-mentioned again wife, who apparently is also in his life, that he just never, like, after everything, he's just like, oh, God, I told her I was going out for a cup of coffee. That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, wouldn't you think, like, we need to know her thoughts on this? That's quite important. Like, how's she coping with it all?
Yeah, she should be like, where is he? God damn it. Like, they just want to make her a really cliched, sexist old version of a wife. They'll come out with a rolling pin, like, damn, did you pick up the whatever? Although now that this would be, because the big thing with Tim Drake, this happened since, is of course he's like openly bi now. He's like a bisexual character in comics. And it was a big deal. But I think that they did the movie nowadays, they would probably like lean in. You would have a guy in the kitchen who also doesn't get a face or a name.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
It's just never mentioned again in the movie. But,
that'd be good. I liked it when they did that in Glass Onion, where they go around to get Benoit Blanc, and there's just like Hugh Grant opens the door.
Yeah. That was the thing. So no, the first like openly gay superhero was a guy in Marvel called North
Power
Star.
Man? Oh, North Star, right.
Power
Man is somebody else.
But I think it was one of I think John Byrne, when he was writing what Alpha Fight, I think North Star was in.
Yeah. Yep.
And he wanted to make him openly gay back in like the early 80s. And like the editor was just like, nope. But how he would do it would be things like, just like you were talking about there, John. Like, people would ring North Star, and like a hunky guy in shorts would answer the phone and be like, North Star, there's someone. And you're just meant to read between the lines.
Love
if he
it.
was a gay guy. And then I think they did. It got so like I remember the big thing, because it was just like, what? Where like, of course, in the late 80s, North Star got sick. Because it was during the AIDS crisis, and they wanted to do an AIDS story. And then whatever editorial team stepped in, they revealed that he was like an elf. And he actually had like an elf disease.
What?
And then he like got taken away, and like, yeah, North Star is going to get cured now or whatever by these women.
Okay.
And it was a weird like
Cured by women.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think then by like 92, he was openly gay. Like, I think the Marvel at that point, which I actually thought was quite like far back. I was like, oh, 92? I thought it would have been like 2002.
Marvel never shied away from stuff like that.
Yeah, but to have it just be open, it would always be like metaphor normally. But like, because I know they always did like with Mystique as well. I think was like a bisexual character, like a stat. People would read between the lines between her relationship with Irene Adler back in the days. Like, oh, they're clearly like a couple. Like they raised Rogue together.
I could totally see that. Mystique, I mean, can bloody shapeshift.
Well, I think there's a
Doesn't
thing.
matter.
I think in the Marvel comic universe, because Irene Adler is supposed to be the same Irene Adler from the Sherlock Holmes books.
Oh.
And apparently, like, I think I've never read them myself, but people have said like there's issues where it's indicated that Sherlock Holmes was around, but that was Mystique in the form of Sherlock Holmes.
Ah, amazing.
Oh,
And so and that's blatantly like, oh, so they were a couple then. Like that's what you're saying. And then when like Irene Adler died in the early 90s or whatever, Mystique taking it so badly was like they're very clearly coding it as like they were a couple.
They're roommates.
Like read between the lines, people. But like
Very good friends.
yeah. But now we have I think we might have talked about back in Batman and Robin, like when we're going into all the gay coding of Batman and Robin as a duo. having Tim come out as being openly bisexual now is kind of like an inversion of like, remember people were so bent out of shape about the idea that Batman might be gay that they forced him to get married to Batwoman and all this stuff, and now both Batwoman and Robin, or a Robin, are like, yeah, they're canonically queer characters.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we've come a long way, baby. You know,
it's woke.
And then we get something like this where it's like, oh, Tim Drake has a wife and she doesn't have a name or a face, and she's just in there making dinner or
just
whatever.
To prove to you, he's straight. Look.
It almost seems like that's just part of the misdirect, because when we first see him, like in this clip here, you're definitely not supposed to think that there's anything suspect about him.
No.
But being, that he's got somebody else there at the house with him that looks like they've been occupied. It's not like he just got home all sweaty and stumbled into the couch and watched TV.
That's very
and
true.
Like, oh wait, what just happened? It's like, oh, they're someone's living with them, and then after that, like, we don't need to see her anymore, I guess. I don't know,
because she served the purpose of the story, I suppose. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like, it's to make you suspect him even less.
Yeah. So I suppose it'd be him just coming home by himself or something.
Yeah.
You would maybe still, but him coming in from anywhere. But yeah, this scene does it is quite a good misdirect. I'll give him that, because although when you were watching it, like for the first time, did either of you guess that Tim Drake was going to, like, what did you think was happening with the Joker? Like, when you were watching it, where you were like, oh, he's got to be a Clayface
robot
or something. Yeah.
I didn't know until later on. I was like, okay, well, he would be really old. How is this going to work out? I didn't think at this point in the movie that it was Tim as the Joker. As it got closer to the reveal, and like after they talked to Tim later on and he's angry and stuff, you start to kind of wonder, like, something's weird going on. But I think because their body shapes are different too, until he transitions into however that science works. You just don't suspect it. I think the body size difference makes a big misdirect as well.
The thing that we got away with it in Mask of the Phantasm, when Andrea Beaumont was revealed to be the 7-foot bulky man, and then like throw off the cape, and then it was this svelte, 5-foot woman underneath. So I was like, this one's like, yeah, that guy looks nothing like the Joker. But somehow he is the Joker. Like,
right. Like how you figure that out. And then with it having a whole backstory that, well, if I can talk ahead, is that anywhere in any other Batman
all the
animations about Tim being kidnapped when he was younger?
No, that's all unique to this.
That's a whole new unique reveal. So it's kind of like, it feels like Encyclopedia Brown books to me when I was a kid, and you're like trying to figure it out, and then they like reveal it, and you're like, where do you get all that information? I didn't see that. I think you just made that up.
Yeah, but yeah, is he referred to as Tim, or is it just Honey he gets called? I didn't note down whether she actually calls him Tim or not. But
I don't think she says, because the first time I watched it, I didn't know who that was. Yeah.
And particularly too, even if you'd watched the new Batman Adventures, you wouldn't recognize that kid as being this guy either. True. So it would be like, it'd have to be like, Tim Drake, this is your wife speaking. You are, of course, canonically that child we saw in earlier iterations of this show.
You must be.
Yeah. Although speaking of age difference, characters, we do then cut to a mysterious woman standing by a window.
Who could it be?
Yeah. But and also before that, we get I really, really love the music when Tim pauses and is just looking at the Joker's face. I just think that's a real nice music sting there.
There's some really good bits of scoring in this. Yeah.
That's always a good moment too. It's been done in several Batman things, of just people pausing on the Joker on TV, because of course it's like in course, in '89, it's like, well, I'm taking off my makeup. Let's see when you will take off yours. And then Michael Keaton pressing pause and getting into that dun 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 dun, like the music kicking in, and I'm going into the flashback and stuff. Incredible. And of course, even in again The Dark Knight, with they have that bit of like Michael Caine's whole like some men just want to watch the world burn, and it cuts over to like the slow motion image of the Joker on TV, and then the Hans Zimmer "Why So Serious" leitmotif kicking in. This is like, it always works. People just staring at a picture of the Joker and been like, "Oh boy, this is trouble, huh?" So another worthy entry into that cinematic trope there.
Yes.
But like I'm all noted out for this chunk. Does anyone else have anything they want to bring up about chunk 4 of that minute beyond Return of the Joker?
I've got one thing I forgot to mention, just that when they're in the car, Bruce pens a Rihanna hit. He says, "Shut up and drive."
Oh, yes.
Oh, I have that written down too, John. I was like, who would have thought that Bruce Wayne was a Rihanna fan?
He created the songs.
You see him like down in the cave, you just hear him echoing throughout, just like, "Baby, you got the keys. Now shut up and drive." Although one thing we were doing last season, that like just like the guests who didn't weren't on that season, we were asking people about their favorite cartoons from back in the day as well. Tabitha and Jonathan, I don't know if you have anything like you'd want to throw out a quick plug for, to be like, I used to watch the Jetsons or whatever. Like when you were like, kids sitting down for a Saturday morning cartoon with a bowl of cereal, what were you watching?
I watched a lot of Scooby-Doo when I was a kid, and so much so, I guess it was my favorite. And so I had this nickname for a while when I was little, that some people would call me Scoob, because it was just such a favorite of mine. I was all about Scooby-Doo. And so that was one of I loved cartoons. I could not wait for Saturday mornings to watch cartoons, and I would get up before my parents and be so quiet, because once my parents got up, then it was always like Saturday work tours that you had to do. And so I would get up, and sometimes I would like the bars would still be on the TV where they hadn't even started playing the shows yet, and I would just have the volume down so low, and I would just be waiting for the first cartoon of the morning to start.
Yes, if we have any younger listeners, TV wasn't on 24 hours a day.
No. No, and where I lived, we got in like 1, maybe 2 channels, and that was it when I was a kid. So yeah.
I remember, like, even as quiet as you were, turning on the TV was sometimes dangerous, because like the big
TVs were big and clunky and loud, and oh jeez.
Yeah, so you have to make the buttons huge and clunky, like make sounds when you push them in, because otherwise, how do you know you're pressing a button or not?
That was the logic.
Right.
It was like, well, you need feedback.
I don't know that I had any one specific cartoon, but I'd consume, when the Batman the Animated Series was on, that was typically after school. But Saturday morning, the whole routine, they would seem like they'd always kind of start with some of the classics, like old Bugs Bunny and stuff like that. But I remember, I think you can watch it on Disney now, but the Gummy Bears.
Yeah.
Really, really catchy theme song.
Bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Yeah.
I think I only remember the theme tune. I've seen the show. I couldn't tell you anything about it except the theme tune.
Well, let's be honest. When you go back now and watch stuff like that, it very rarely holds up. So there's probably a reason you don't remember it.
No, I was just say I just remembered. I watched the Smurfs a lot as well. A lot. Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Let's say I had a whole thing with like baby roommate, as he's affectionately known on the show, my friend's son Killian, but he always goes on but Lego Ninjago, and there's a character, the villain, that's called like Gargaron or something, and I always call him Gargamel.
Gargamel, I was thinking that as soon as you said it.
And as soon as he always gets frustrated, he's like, "Who's Gargamel? It's Gargamel from the Smurfs. What are you talking about?" The Smurfs is not a thing on his radar at all.
No.
That's funny.
Yeah. But I can recommend too if you're still in the Scooby-Doo. We got recommended that new mystery. Well, not new. It's like 10 years old now.
That's
but
new.
The Mystery Inc. Series they did, where it was kind of like it was a continuing long form story of Scooby-Doo, but it was a bit more updated, and they had like. There was more development to the characters and stuff as well. Matthew Lillard was in doing Shaggy and stuff, and
he does a really good job with Shaggy.
Yeah, he's perfect. Like that was the one thing that everyone seemed to take away from that. People hated that. I think it's revered as kind of a cult classic now, that Scooby-Doo movie. But like from people who just grew up watching it. But at the time, I remember everyone was ripping the crap out of it.
I didn't like it, but I might enjoy it more now, knowing it's kind of stupid and campy.
Yeah, because written by James Gunn as well. Yeah. Our current DC overlord. But I remember the one big thing was just like everyone like, oh, that guy's perfect though for Shaggy. Like that's you're not gonna beat that. Like, and so I think that's he just made his living now from just being like, yeah, people just love Matthew Lillard now and they love him being Shaggy, so they just keep hiring him to play Shaggy in things. And he's just like, yeah, I'm happy for the payday. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm all chunked out.
Ugh, every time that just sounds wrong.
I am blowing all my chunks.
Ugh, good God. Would our wonderful guests like to do any plugs or promote anything you like before we depart? Any shows or anything?
Oh boy, it's been so long. You know, some I just keep plugging our UHF 60-second. It's I think what we have out there is fun, and you know, maybe someday we'll get back to it if we get enough interest, or maybe somebody else decides to edit them for me or something like that.
That is the toughest bit, to be honest.
We've got it all on UHF except the completed podcast.
That's right. And we still have a whole bunch that are, you know, not quite in the can, but a bunch that are like they're already recorded. Not all of them, but we've got a bunch of them recorded. We just have to pick through them.
Oh, come on. Do it. People are waiting.
Yeah. Because I was surprised they didn't do like a special for the Weird Al movie that came out too. Like just another entry in his cinematic universe, finally.
And it was amazing.
That's it's all those extra fun things that actually make the work even harder, right? Like, oh, we could do. Oh no, we did too much.
Yeah, you can't take on too much.
Yeah, and I don't have anything to plug because I just get to do things like this every once in a while.
You've got it. You've got the best of all worlds.
I do.
You can show up and just like have a great time, and then like, okay, I'm done now. Bye.
Yeah, just drop the mic and walk away.
It's a mic drop. Bam.
Hook up with Alison Grimm. I think that's her whole podcasting career is just like, people just invite me on. I've never done a show myself.
Right.
But I am a frequent guest here, there, and everywhere.
Well, yeah. I do it mostly from memes.
Yeah. So our relationship with Allison's so weird in that she was like a meme queen that we always saw on the Twin Peaks pages, but like had no reason to ever talk to her. And then she was randomly on Titanic Minute.
We were like,
and
what?
then it was just like, oh, now we have an excuse now. We have an excuse. We can just invite her on our show because I've always wanted to talk to her because she's the maven of memes over there. And now she's just like, yeah, but anytime we need we need someone quickly, Allison, come here, do this.
Well, if you want to post any Batman-related memes, you can do that in our Facebook group, the Bat Minute Listeners Cave. And while we're not releasing episodes, it tends to either be news or memes. So feel free to add to that.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can send us some as well on Twitter at BatMinute, Instagram, the BatMinute. And why don't you go to our network, Sleepy Charlie Media, on Patreon for bonus content. And we will be back in 1 week's time with new minutes with a Z for you Americans, a Z, really. New minutes and new... I was going to say guests, but I actually can't remember if the next is a solo or a duo. You'll have to tune in to find out, and I'll have to tune in to find out. See you next week, Batmites.
Next time. Are we doing this again?
Of course we are, Puddin'. Next time. Packing it in. Already?
A budding detective decides to dish with a commish to deduce a dastardly identity, but a girl named Gordon isn't spilling any tea.
After gaps with Babs, our cyberpunk swings by to see a haunted hermit with a hump, only to discover he's getting dumped.
Will our juvenile detective take a forced retirement or tell his Bruce Lee benefactor to go and get bent?
It's a trope as old as time. In the future, Needle Mites.
Same bad pun.
Different Bat Minutes.